After the holidays, there's so much to clean up and get ready for the coming year. This leaves me exhausted and a lot of things falling off my to-do list. It's time to lock in, and Omaha Steaks delivers everything you crave to reset after the holidays. An order from them means having high-quality Omaha steaks on hand at all times. I'm a big meat lover myself, and I always go with medium rare. But there's also plenty of poultry and other options available. Omaha Steaks offers unrivaled quality and variety, and every bite is backed by their 100% guarantee. A family-owned company with over 100 years of expertise in the meat industry. Let Omaha Steaks deliver high-quality proteins right to your door. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide during their end-of-season sale. And for an extra $35 off, use promo code YUM at checkout. That's OMAHA steaks.com, promo code YUM. Terms apply. See site for details. Go to www.omahasteaks.com to get 50% off site-wide during their end-of-season sale and use promo code YUM at checkout for an extra $35 off. Minimum purchase may apply. Thanks to Omaha Steaks for sponsoring us.
This is a More Than Just podcast production.
Welcome to this podcast, Season 9, Episode 2. My name is Indira Mitra. I am in Toronto, Ontario, and I'm joined by Jonathan Kuline in Lawrenceville, Bristol, New Brunswick.
Hello there, kids.
How's it going?
Well,
How's it going?
It's been a week. Yeah, we have no Jaime this week. He's out traveling the world and
transporting. He's
transporting somewhere in the Midwest. Yes,
on the outer rim. Yeah,
that's right.
All right. Well, we have a fact check from last week. Squire was the word I was struggling to remember. Is the name of the person who assists the knight don their armor, according to the dictionary definition of the word squire. Yeah, but I was trying to remember the name of the role of the person in Fallout. But also, we'll have a squire coming up in something else we'll be talking about later on today too. But let's move to the headline. So we were talking last week. This is kind of like follow up. We don't really do follow up in the show, but we're going to do follow up today, right? And Jonathan had mentioned that some people were already saying that after seeing Star Trek Starfleet Academy that it was too woke. Well, you know what? When Stephen Miller and Elon Musk throw their huge weight into the mess, it's and they're saying it's too woke. Well, typically they're going to say that because this seems to be the general gist of the current administration. But I thought it was interesting that I flipped over to, I saw, is it The View, I think?
Yes. The View, you're right.
Whoopi's show. So Whoopi Goldberg kind of tore a strip out of those guys. And so I called it Guinan's response here on the show notes. But yeah, you've added something else. So do you have something? Article.
It's more of a summary. Entertainment Weekly picked up on the same thing that you did, that basically is that, the new show is come under fire from different sides. And I mean, it's inevitable. There's a whole cohort of people who are just very anti-New Trek, as they call it, which is pretty much everything from Discovery forward, and find that, there are problems with it. And some of those are legitimate concerns. I agree with some of the things that they have addressed about, some of those shows. Some of those are better than others for sure. But this is just trolling nonsense. So you mentioned, obviously, Stephen Miller, who, of course, is the White House Deputy Chief of Staff and notable clown, and Elon Musk, whose bona fides go without saying, are both weighed in and say that, this show is too woke and it doesn't, we need to do better. And, Miller actually called for them to, fire everybody who's working on it and hire 94-year-old William Shatner to take over the franchise.
You're kidding me.
No, I wish I was.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's just so nonsensical because I think you and I have a pretty good perspective on this. We've been lifelong Trek fans. We're not experts, but I'd say we got some expertise. I used to write professionally, so I'll throw that in the mix as well. Certainly you have as well. And this is just nonsense. It's just absolute nonsense. Again, if you don't like the show because you think it's too focused on young people, or you
don't watch it,
find that characters are not to your liking, don't watch the show. If you don't like Starfleet Academy, leave it alone for the rest of us to enjoy. But just going out there and bashing on it is ridiculous. Now, I was intrigued by these conversations and the fact that they were being had at this level. And so I went and did some digging and was looking around. And yeah, it's absolutely, there are people who are like, this is ridiculous. I don't like this at all. And, I barely could make it through. And it's like, great. Then if you don't like it, fine, but don't yuck someone's yum. Like, of course, it's not like one of those comments I saw that really kind of struck a chord was somebody who said, the show isn't necessarily being written for 50 to 70-year-old white guys. And I thought, well, it isn't, but there certainly are elements for those of us who are not the Stephen Millers and Elon Musks of the world to enjoy, because we like women and we like, people of color, and we like LGBTQ plus people, and, and even if there was or wasn't those elements, it's still a good show. So calm down, everyone.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. Like she did sort of point out that this was Gene Roddenberry's dream, was to have an international. Yeah. They didn't have the term woke at the time, but to have that kind of everybody contributing in all, like, this is the future of society, not where we are today. And I'm going to quote Whoopi here when she says, "Why are you concentrating on a television show when people are being shot and killed, when people are going hungry, when farmers are losing their farms and kids can't get meals at school? Why are you paying attention to this?" Right?
Yeah, and her sign-off was great too, where she said, "Please do your job, and we actors and people from outer space will do ours." Amen, Whoopi. Thank you very much. And I mean, it's, like I say, the show is diverse. In the episode that we're going to talk about later tonight, one of the characters reveals that they are, in a polycule and have these, multi-dimensional relationships. And, again, A, that's reflective of the times we live in. And B, what does it matter? It's set in 32nd century space.
It's fiction. It's a TV show. Yeah, exactly.
Calm down. Like, maybe people will be like that from a different planet, because how could you know? It's made up. It's pretend. And I don't know. It's just absolutely absurd that people are taking this seriously when there are as you say, so many things that are more important than this happening right now. I think we should all just calm down and enjoy. And yes, it's just Star Trek, kids. It's not meant to be the be all and end all. Although I have always enjoyed that aspect of Star Trek. I like that Star Trek is what some might call aspirational. That maybe we can get to a place where we don't just solve all our problems with killing each other, and maybe we can become explorers of the galaxy, and maybe we can do these great things together if we stop putting all these other problems in front of each other.
Well, I mean, and that's the gist of, the next generation, when, they go back in time and they talk to, like, present day Americans, and I'm trying to remember her name now, the woman on First Contact, when she says, like, what about money? What about this?
Alfred Woodard, yeah.
Yeah, and he says, we don't have those problems anymore. We got rid of all that sort of personal income, and, everybody just kind of does the job, and they get fed, and, I guess it's a socialist view of, like, the world, whatever, the future of Star Trek, right? Everybody has a role to play, and nobody suffers. But that said, I mean, there are sort of people in the sort of seedy underbelly, as I mentioned last week. There, in the stories, there are those kind of people, but that's their choice to live that way, right? I guess, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on to some brighter topic, like maybe the Oscars nominations.
Yeah. So this was an interesting week where they announced the Oscar nominees, and it was a pretty big one for our world of nerdiness. The movie Sinners was a record setter for the most nominations
of all time, right?
Of all time for a single movie. So 16 nominations, including Best Picture, Best Director for Ryan Coogler, Best Actor for Michael B. Jordan, Best Supporting nods for Wunmi Musako and Delroy Lindo. This was like a huge deal for that. And obviously this is a black led and cast and featured film. So that's huge as well. And then, we also saw some nominations. Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein got 15 nominations, including Best Picture. Begonia, which we've talked about, 10 nominations, including another Best Picture. Obviously some other stuff tucked in here that didn't do quite as well. We saw that only 2 nominations for Avatar, Fire and Ash, which neither one of us has made any effort to go see because movies are wildly overrated. And K-pop Demon Hunters, which was a big smash hit, was nominated for Best Animated Feature, and looks like it's pretty good in that category.
I just want to say, too, that was kind of Jaime brought that to our attention. Like, I would never have even focused on that at all, because he brought it up weeks and weeks ago as something to sort of be mindful of, right? And then Canadian co-director Maggie Kang went to Sheridan College in Oakville, very close to where Jonathan and I sort of kind of met and lived for a number of years. And then his mother taught at Sheridan for a while, too. And the song is written by a Canadian as well, right?
Yep, and that's everyone thinks that's going to steamroll the best original song category.
I got stuck in my head. They were playing it on CBC today, and I'm really sorry that they did that.
Yeah, I was only aware of K-pop Demon Hunters because I have a number of coworkers who have younger kids, and they were just going on about how obsessed their kids were with it. Just a little bit ahead of what Jaime was saying. I did not realize that it was quite becoming that thing, and now it is really a thing. So yeah, so it's good news. I'm trying to think if there's anything in here that missed out.
The best picture category. I mean, like, so I haven't seen Begonia, but I want to watch that one. F1 I've seen, of course. Haven't seen Frankenstein or Hamnet yet. Want to see both of those. The Secret Agent, I'm not so sure, but One Battle After Another we've all seen already, and Sinners we've all seen, right?
Yeah, so, Marty Supreme, yeah, is the other one, yeah.
Yeah, what is that? He's a ping pong player? I don't know. He's a
ping pong player, yeah, that's exactly what it is, yeah.
All right, okay.
I have only seen a few of these so far. I'm looking forward to seeing more of them, although both, I think, Secret Agent and Sentimental Value, which are nominated, are both international films. I think one is from Norway and one is from Brazil, which is interesting. So I'm looking forward to some subtitle watching with that. I have heard very mixed things about the Frankenstein. And I find those, like, let's try it this way, really kind of tedious. But I also like Guillermo del Toro. So
have you ever read the book? Or
I don't think I have. Honestly,
okay. I know I haven't, but I know the story of, and I watched the movie a couple of years ago. They brought out a movie about I think it's called Mary Shelley.
Mary Shelley,
yeah. Watched that a little while ago too. So
yeah, I mean, it's an interesting mix. Although it's funny, like, I really do wonder. Like, I have not seen all these films, so I don't feel like I'm fully qualified to judge. But I don't know how many of these movies I'm going to be talking about 5 years from now. Like there doesn't seem to be, as much as obviously it's a huge deal that Sinners got all these nominations. I just don't know that there's any movie in here that is going to be like an all-timer. Although, I enjoyed One Battle After Another, and I'm looking forward to watching some of the rest, and maybe I'll eat my words. But
yeah, Hamnet seems to be the one to sort of focus in on, because it did pretty well at the Golden Globes, right? I mean, I'm glad to see F1 here, but F1 to me is like Star Wars. I don't think it's really gonna. As movies go, it's a good movie, but it's Top Gun-ish. It's not, great movie, great storytelling, or it's a visually stunning movie. It's kind of like Rocky in that sense, but One Battle After Another was a better film movie.
Yeah, I don't. I can't say that F1 would have occurred to me. I have not watched it yet. I'm waiting to watch that one.
I'm not surprised. It does look amazing. Like, it's up there in terms of like look and feel and technology and all that kind of stuff. But it's up for the Avatar was nominated because it's a really cool visual spectacle award. Is that how it gets a nomination? Yeah, I think all around it's a good movie. But if I put on my cinephile hat, right? It's not it's a good movie from that perspective too, but it's not One Battle After Another. It's not Sinners. Yeah. It's probably not. I don't think it definitely holds a candle to Hamnet, but I could be wrong. I don't see the Academy voting for F1. So what I'm trying to say. To me, it seems like that's a populist pick to put in there. That is certainly a good film, but I don't think a serious contender. And people aren't watching it on Vision Pro. Right? Yeah. The Academy's not judging it that way, right? No. I imagine they're just watching it through their secured channel, and it is what it is. It was amazing in IMAX. Like, it was a great movie to see there because of the sound and the size of the screen, right? But yeah, I guess the only other category that kind of stands out for our audience would be the best visual effects, because visual effects obviously are a hallmark of science fiction fantasy movies. No surprise to see Avatar in there. I can't disagree. James Cameron makes beautiful looking movies. I'm sure the movie looks beautiful, as long as you don't listen to it.
And then F1's in there. Jurassic Park Rebirth is actually nominated in there. Something called The Lost Bus, which I have not seen. And Sinners is also nominated in there. So, again, I think,
Trying to find this.
not a
Is it
surprise
way
to see
down the
that.
bottom there, or where is it?
It's right at the bottom. It's the last category here. It will be interesting. I definitely feel like I have a lot of catching up to do. Some years I'm like, I've seen 4 out of these 10 movies, or I've seen 6 out of these 10 movies. This year I'm like, I've seen 2 of these movies. Okay.
Yeah. What's animated this year? Here's animated. Animated adapted. No.
That's a good question. I don't see it on here. Animated feature film. Arco Elio, which is a Pixar movie, K-pop Demon Hunters, Little Amelie of the Character of Rain, and Zootopia 2.
Yeah, and then the shorts as well. Yeah. Elio's on Disney Plus. That's in 3D as well on Vision Pro. Haven't watched it yet. And Zootopia 2, that also did quite well in the box office. I know it was a big summer movie, right? Or whenever it came out, it was had a good run.
It did,
but
actually.
I have a feeling K-pop Demon Hunters maybe a sweep there. I don't know. It depends on how the Academy feels, right, when they vote.
I mean, you never know. Obviously, there is their favorites for different reasons, but Zootopia 2 just became the highest grossing Disney movie of all time.
Right, that's what I meant, yeah.
So, it's very successful. I haven't seen Elio yet. I'm actually a couple of Pixar movies behind that I have to catch up on, but anyway, it's a good list, and again, if you're one of those people who likes to play along, there's some homework for you now. You can catch up on this. Again, the one I really want to see out of this list is Begonia, which is only available for rent right now, and I'm not keen to spend quite as much as they're asking for that rental, so I'm hoping it'll...
Are they doing the full value rental?
It is a full value rental. I believe it is $25 or $30 or something like that.
Yeah. We don't have a big enough family currently to justify that.
Yeah, for sure. We need.
I'm a single person movie watcher in our family, right? So
yeah, and I can sometimes squeeze up to 2 or 3 people, but even then, it's like $25. There's a lot of other choices.
Mind you, if we went to see it in the theater, we'd pay $50, right? So
truly. Although not here. Begonia never even came to town where I am. I had to go. I would have had to go into one of the cities to see it here, which is a drag. All right, let's move on. We got 3 new trailers that all dropped today. So let's go through them one by one. First up is Star Wars Darth Maul Shadow Lord, which is the new animated story of what the Darth Maul was like when he was a crime lord, which has been documented in a few different Star Wars properties over the years. Well, if you'll recall, think back to Solo, A Star Wars Story.
I was going to say, though, that when we first met Darth Maul in Phantom Menace, he was a Sith apprentice, right?
He was.
So is this supposed to be his story before he became an apprentice?
It is not.
Okay.
If you'll recall, during the Clone Wars...
And this isn't the one where he's got the new legs, right?
Well, it's the one where he gets his new legs.
Oh, the new legs. So this is post Rebels or Rebels era.
Yes. So if you're following along, if you watch the Clone Wars series, in the Clone Wars series, he actually does go from they find out that he did not in fact die in Phantom Menace, that he ended up in a refuse pile, and eventually.
Doesn't he morph with spiders or something like that? Or?
He basically built himself a robotic spider exoskeleton so that he could stay alive. He lost his marbles because, when you get chopped in half and fall down a giant chute, you're probably going to do that. And over the course of Clone Wars, he goes from sort of, lost soul who's rescued by his brother and is brought back. Eventually, he gets a pair of robotic legs. And then later on, he actually gets a pair of functioning legs again by the Witches of Dathomir. And then the story keeps going. Eventually, he realizes that he is no longer welcome, that Palpatine wants nothing to do with him. And so he basically makes a vow that he's going to destroy Palpatine his own way, and he breaks away. And so he basically becomes this crime lord. Some of that story is in, a little bit of that story is in Clone Wars. A little bit of that story is in some comic books. A little bit of that story is in a book. But here we're going to finally get a real deep dive into his ascent from being the sort of no longer welcome with the Sith and post episode 3 and his rise into this sort of crime lord. So, yeah, should be interesting.
Did we see Ahsoka in the trailer?
I don't think so, which makes sense. She would be in hiding at this point. So there was definitely some either former Padawans or former Jedi. So this, I think, is supposed to be taking place from just what I'm looking at. It seems like it is all post Empire, like post the rise of the Empire.
After Order 66.
After Order 66. So yeah, and at that point he was persona non grata. Basically, Palpatine had said, like, you're dead to me. I don't want anything to do with you, right? So at the end of Clone Wars, he basically escapes, and he's still on the hunt for Obi-Wan, which we knew about because that resolves in Rebels later on, right? But this is the gap between end of Clone Wars and beginning of Rebels. Where was he? What was he up to? What did he do? And so we're going to get this sort of deeper dive into, him becoming a crime lord. At the end of Solo, A Star Wars Story, if you recall, Kira, who is the female antagonist of the film, who's, screwed over Solo and Chewbacca and gone to rejoin this criminal empire, meets with a hologram version of Darth Maul. And there was supposed to be another Solo movie that was going to continue and show him in that light, I guess, because they have decided that it's no longer going to be a Solo Part 2. They've done this in sort of its stead to show some of the story. But yeah, it's pretty exciting. I mean, Maul's such a great character. I think we were all like a little shocked in 1998 when they were like, look at this incredible character, Ray Park flipping all over the place, double-ended lightsaber. I mean, say what you will about that movie, and it does have its flaws, but that fight scene between the three of them at the end with the music and the choreography and just...
Yeah. We heard a bit of that music in this trailer. I don't know if you caught that.
Yeah. And with, with Rey's martial arts ability and the double-ended lightsaber, which is something we'd never seen before, was thrilling. It was absolutely thrilling in the moment. If you go back and just watch that part of the movie, it's still thrilling. Now, is there other parts of the movie that are unwatchable garbage? Yes, that's true. But... Maul was a cool character, and I think we were all like, wait a minute, he's dead after like one movie? What was the point of that? So the fact that they found a creative way to bring him back, and the fact that we
luckily,
can now get this
when a
kind of thing...
lightsaber cuts you in half, it seals the wound at the same time. Right?
Wow, how many times have we seen that now in Star Wars? Whereas you're just like, how did that happen? Which makes it really funny. I never really thought about this until you just mentioned it. So in A New Hope, and I realize this is nitpicking, but in A New Hope, when Ponda Baba, the walrus guy, picks a fight with Luke and
Obi-Wan,
and Obi-Wan is like, that's enough of this, pulls out his lightsaber and chops this dude's arm off. There's blood all over the floor. Shouldn't it have been a cleaner cut? I mean, come on. Continuity. Lucas, if you're going to go back and mess with these movies, go in and put that a nice clean cut in there now. We don't need any blood. Han didn't shoot first. Fine. You want to include that? Okay, sure. But can we just get a nice clean cut on that guy's arm?
Yeah, I don't know.
I still think it's an all-time loss that they didn't do a detachable arm on that action figure, just saying. I knew kids who ripped the arm off that action figure just to replay that scene. Oh, damn right, yeah.
And a hot knife or something, yeah.
Oh, yeah, just literally just turned it sideways and pulled, like, they wanted to have Obi-Wan chop that dude's arm off so bad.
All right.
Yeah.
Because he only cuts off, like, the forearm or whatever. He doesn't cut the whole arm off, does he?
I think he cuts it off, like upper arm, so...
Yeah, just about below the elbow, yeah.
Yeah. But either way, I made a bloody mess, so... All right. So, yeah, this looks good. I'm excited about this. I'm curious, and they did have a date in there.
And it's the same style as
April. It's coming in April.
As Bad Batch and and Rebels, right?
Yeah,
or not Rebels.
Yeah, it's
the same animator,
same animation style that they do in those Tales of series that
from
they're
the
doing
creators of. It says
every May. Yeah, so. Yeah, it looks interesting. I'll be interested to see. Obviously, this series is, or I don't know if it's a series or a movie. I'm still unclear on that. Is focused on Maul. It'll be interesting to see who the Jedi quote unquote protagonists are in this. That'll be interesting.
It sounds like the same voice actor from Rebels too, right?
Oh, I think it always is. Yeah. Okay, trailer number 2, Masters of the Universe. I'm going to preface this by saying I was just a little too old for the Masters of the Universe by a scotch.
Were you?
I mean, I knew people.
I mean, your best friend had the Castle Grayskull that his father ran over with a lawnmower.
He is a couple years younger than me. So I did know people who had them. I think one year somebody gave me one of the action figures for a birthday gift or something. It was not my bag. I was certainly aware of it. I certainly did watch the TV show from time to time because it was on back in
Saturday
the day
morning,
when there
I think,
were.
right?
It was an afternoon show. I think it was mostly afternoon show.
I think I watched it occasionally. There was like a Tiger Lady, She-Ra, and
well, She-Ra was their own
Skeletor
series, but they were all
Oh.
interrelated. And yeah, anyways, I know enough about it for sure, but it was never my bag. I was never like, oh, I love this. It was, it was fun for its time. And again, at that point, any animation was good animation. If you turned on a TV and a cartoon was on, that was a win. So I can't say I'm a huge Masters of the Universe fan. I remember watching bits of the first movie that came out in the 80s. It was dreadful. I think I didn't know what to expect. I knew this was coming. I saw the trailer. It does look really good. It looks, let me just specify, it looks really good. The animation, the digital animation that they've done on it, the quality of it looks very high. I was really not interested in He-Man as a character then. I'm not interested in He-Man as a character now. I certainly found the other characters from that much more interesting visually. Skeletor, this guy with a skeleton face, and some of the other monsters and stuff like that I found more interesting. And it's exactly the same having watched this trailer. I was like, I could care less about this blonde guy who's got muscles and a sword.
Yeah, but and what's with the whole "you're a wizard, Harry" plot line? Is that like from Masters of the Universe?
No, I don't think that is the case in Masters of the Universe, the TV show. I think
from now on we're going to refer to it as "you're a wizard now, Harry." You're a wizard, Harry plot line.
Yeah, I mean it's well-worn territory for sure. I didn't know.
Luke, you could say the Star Wars in episode 4 was "you're a wizard, Harry" as well.
But it seems like, well, in fairness, we should go back and call it, whatever the original version of that story is. It surely
it's the hero's journey.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's the Joseph Campbell story.
But I like your wizard, Harry, better.
I remember thinking at the time that, He-Man was kind of a weird character, and his counterpart was this character called Prince Adam, who was like the prince of the royal family, and they looked identical except for the beefcake. And I remember thinking
but didn't the sword give him the beefcake though?
It does. And so that was the part that I always found funny about the show, is like, does nobody put 2 and 2 together? It was like Superman, but without any glasses. They're like, and he just walked around with like his cape hanging out of his outfit. And you're like,
but Superman has hypnotizing glasses. We established that in the last movie.
That's absolutely true. Yes, that's absolutely true.
He's got those AI glasses.
In this
he puts them on and everybody else sees AI.
They seem to have written it as he lived on this world of Eternia, and he had to leave because things were getting bad. He was sent to Earth where his mom thought he would be safe. And then since then, he's carried the knowledge of his life there, but he hasn't been able to get back. And then somehow he finds his sword and is able to go back.
shows up and gives him a sword, right?
Exactly right. So again, well-worn territory. You're absolutely right. Well-worn territory as far as the he gets his magic sword and he gets to go back and he has to fight the bad guys and everything else. Will I watch this in the theater? 100% no. I could not care less. I do not care about this world. I do not care about these characters. I understand there's a passionate fan base, and I'm sure we're going to hear from some of them, and that's fine.
You should have said, I do not like them, Sam. I am.
Will I watch this on a boat? Will I watch this with a goat? I will not, Sam. I am. I will 100% watch this when it comes to insert streaming service here, for sure, because it looks like it would be entertaining. Would I spend my extra beyond what I already spend on these services to entertain myself money on this? Not a chance. Absolutely no chance.
Not on a train, not on a plane.
Not on a plane, not with a goat, not in a boat, not at all.
Not in a box, not with a fox.
I do not like it, Sam. I am. How about you? Do you have any? No.
I'm the same. I have zero. I mean, I had zero interest in seeing the other War of the Worlds or whatever it's called. Not War of the Worlds. The Warcraft.
Oh, Warcraft!
And
Warcraft,
Dragons,
Minecraft.
Dungeons and Dragons was good. Yeah, Dungeons and Dragons was good, but otherwise, if it wasn't on a free streaming service, I wouldn't have watched it.
But Dungeons and Dragons that's also the second iteration. They tried doing a movie in the past, and it stank, and so they did that, and and then they went back to the drawing board and did something different, which was good.
Yeah.
So
they can't all be Howard the Duck,
They can't all be Howard the Duck, and I think some people are grateful for that. I am not. All right, that sounded personal, but let's move on.
No, I'm just saying, like, as far as you're concerned, it's a perfect movie, right? So.
It is not a perfect movie. I'm just saying I enjoy. It hit me in a sweet spot. I was like 12. I don't know what to tell you. Okay. Last trailer, Invincible season 4. So for the listeners' benefit, I'm going to say Tim has not finished season 3 yet. So we're going to dance lightly around this to say it looks good. It very much looks like it's following the exact same plot line in the comics. So if you have read those, you'll be familiar with the territory they're going to cover here. Let me just say season 4 blows up really good if it follows the exact template from the comics. And so far the series has pretty much, other than gender swapping some characters and adding a little more nuance to some of the stuff. It's been pretty bang on. So if we're following the same template, this is going to be both a very emotional season because of what happens in season 3 and also building towards something pretty dramatic as it goes. And you'll see that in the trailer. And I mean, it's exciting that this is coming soon. It's coming in March, which is great. There's not much longer to wait. I will say I'm actually really happy with how fast they're moving through the animation on this project. In a world where we have to wait 3 years between Severance seasons and 5 years between Silo and all these series that take so long to produce now, it's really nice to have something that comes every if not year, pretty much a year. That's pretty much the pace that they've been on. That's pretty awesome. So March 18th, so tune in. Good old Prime Video.
Gives me time to catch up on season 3, right? So
yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed. It was one of my favorite comics. I did actually. I was back in the good old days when I worked at a newspaper. Image sent me some of the early books of that, which I'm very grateful to have now because they're worth a lot of money. But I got onto that series very, very early and really appreciated for what Robert Kirkman was trying to do, which is to kind of harken back to that Amazing Spider-Man, Mark's an every guy with, everyday problems, but also one of the most powerful beings on Earth. And how does he balance those things? And I think it's just a really fun series. It was a great comic, and I think they've done a really, really nice job of adapting it. So I'm dying for season 4 for this. Yeah.
All right. Well, that brings us, I believe, to the main part of the show where we talk about something Star Trek related. And of course, we've got Star Trek Starfleet Academy Season 1, Episode 3 to talk about. Vitus Reflux, which I'm not sure what the title means, but yeah. So I guess we'll what's your pitch? What's your elevator pitch?
My elevator pitch is never underestimate the wits of a 420-year-old when it comes to college prank wars.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. Yeah, mine was pretty much like, capture the flag sort of thing. Or
it was definitely, I got to admit, I
could use one of the quotes, but, I'll save it for the quotes.
Well, and that was a really good quote. The writing on this is crackling. I got to admit, I'm admiring the writing. I'm a little envious of their talents.
Yeah, I mean, just the whole spoilers if you haven't seen it yet, but like the whole.
If you haven't seen it yet, why are you?
Yeah, just tune out. Or glaze your eyes over like Jaime does. But the whole subtext that everything she says to them is kind of a clue to how to solve the problem.
Yeah.
Right, which is just brilliant, right? So, including the assignments and stuff that she gives them in class, and and she literally throws words at them and says, do this,
Yeah. It's a very well written episode. About something that is very puerile. It's basically it's an hour-long episode about the War College that is well established in this timeline versus the now brand newly returned Starfleet Academy, and a prank war that basically is started by the War Academy or the War College to tease the new cadets, and turns into this rather epic. As you say, it's a sort of laser tag meets capture the flag, but with mascots, chaos game that they play. And then, as it is Star Trek, they learn something along the way. But But yeah, some really good performances in here. You know, again, we're starting to finally get to know these characters a little bit, right? We're starting to get, obviously this is only episode 3, so we're still kind of figuring out who's who and what's what. You know, we knew from the first couple episodes that Darum, the sort of overachiever, snotty cadet for the Academy, was not necessarily the nicest person in the world. Here we see his rivalry with Genesis, the young, beautiful, alien cadet, is spilling over into this other competition. So part of it is them fighting amongst themselves. Part of them is fighting with the War College. We also have the same sort of dynamic where Caleb, who is sort of our so far lead cadet protagonist, who is, thought he kind of had something cooking in episode 2 with Tarima, the princess, the president's daughter of Beta Z, who decided to go to the War College instead of going to the Academy where he thought she sort of belongs. So there's kind of these layers of, the rivalries.
Yeah, we have talked about the 400-year-old cougar as well.
Well, yeah. And then there's this sort of other little rivalry that's cooking between Nala, who is the Chancellor, of course, played by Holly Hunter, and then we also have Commander Kelrek, who's the Chancellor of the War Academy. And so there's a little sort of friendly rivalry, feudy kind of thing going on between all these different people. And, we even learn a little bit about the cadet master, Lura, in here as well, because she says, I went to the War College. I chose to come over here and work with you because I believe in what Starfleet's trying to do. And, so we're even getting some layers of different characters. And an interesting reveal that Lura and Jet Reno are a couple in this episode too, right? That was kind of an interesting turn that I didn't see that coming at all. I don't know about you.
Yeah. No, I didn't. Well, no, I mean, we knew that about Jet Reno, but we didn't know that.
Well, yeah, we knew she was an LGBTQ plus character, but the fact that she now has this relationship with the cadet master, and it's very sweet, very sweetly done, very soft and subtle, not like bashing you over the head with it, which is nice.
Yeah. Enough to cause Stephen Miller get an aneurysm.
I'm sure there will be many tweets about this. I don't care. But anyways, it was a well-written episode, and I think this is one the show knows what to do with these different parts. I think it's well written in that, Holly Hunter is an extremely talented actress, and she is crushing this part as far as I'm concerned. I really enjoy her in this. She brings a joie de vivre to the whole thing that is just infectious. She's fun and playful and quirky, and honestly, it makes me a little bit sad about the Pelia character from Strange New Worlds, which has never really kind of clicked for me. But similar, right? Like they have that same kind of bohemian vibe. But I really like the way Holly's doing it, and I don't think I like it as much in what's happening on Strange New Worlds. But yeah, this was a fun episode, as you say. She's using all this coded language to try and encourage the kids to sort of solve the problem and think outside the box, as it were, to solve this issue with. Well,
she also plays with the other characters, like especially with the other Chancellor when she he goes to serve her tea and she kind of lounges on his couch, which and then stirs her tea. He's like, you have to put your spoon in the middle at 12 o'clock and you move from 12 to 6 and 6 to 12 and whatever, and she just kind of randomly does it and just on point, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, she's
with her bare feet, right?
She seems like
toes in his nose.
She is very good at both wrangling people up and also disarming people. It's an interesting skill set, but I really enjoy the character. She's tiny too compared to most of the actors on the show, right? She's a tiny person to begin with, but it's definitely.
But I think that maybe that's part of the race because Carol Kane's also pretty small too, right?
True, yeah, maybe that is. I mean, we've only met the two of them so far, yeah. But yeah, so far so good. I thought this was actually really well done. So for your pew pew pew, what did you like? There was a couple of actually pretty good pew 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 kind of incidents in this episode.
Well, I thought it was fun. I mean, I mentioned this last week where I was a little confused about the way that the medical hologram and the Sam work, because they seem to be. It's actually a quote in the show, but the fact that, you know, when you shoot at Sam, the shot goes right through you, and it hits, like it hit what's the name of the
Darum,
It hit Darum instead of, he's like, it's not fair, like, you know, and he got, I think that during the game, some of those pew pews were pretty cool. The sort of capture the flag game they were playing, it had a different name though.
What did they call it? I wrote it down here. It's called Calico. Calica.
Yeah, Calica, yeah.
I had it written down as, what did it say? I wrote it down in here. What did I say? That it was basically, capture the flag with 8 players aside and phaser guns.
Yeah. With transporter guns.
Yeah.
They transport you around, yeah.
Yeah. I thought that the tryouts were actually a pretty good bit of pew pew pew, where like the cadet master Laura is just putting them through their paces and they're getting pretty blasted. But I thought that the one where they actually had the showdown in the atrium with the War College students was really well done. With
I also like the way the War College starts transporting them out of the locker room when they're,
that was funny.
You know, in just their towels.
Just felt a smidge gratuitous, considering like the young, handsome / beautiful cadets on this show, as they're all like transported around like with their shirts off and in their underwear. I'm like, okay, all right, now we don't need any T'Pol situations here. We don't need to see, you know, gratuitous clothing optional scenes here. For Easter eggs, the 2 things that I really gravitated to were the 2 mascots. So there was a Mugato, which of course is not only is it from the original series, but we did get a Mugato storyline in the Lower Decks, right?
Right. Yeah.
Which was really
the
funny.
Big furry gorilla thing with the spikes on the back.
It's somebody grabbed an old gorilla suit out of the costume department at Paramount back in the day, and took that, dyed it white, and then put a unicorn horn on the top, and that was a Mugato. So it always looks just a little bit retro funny when you see one, but it's particularly funny here because obviously at one point to exercise their prank, they have to get Caleb inside this costume, which is very funny. And the other one was the Lapling, and I don't know if you remember the Lapling, but it definitely struck a chord for me, and I was like, I know it, and I remembered where I knew it from. The Lapling was one of the extremely rare creatures that was in Kivas Fajo's collection when the episode of TNG where he kidnaps Data and tries to make him part of his collection of antiquities.
Yeah.
One of the things he has in there is a Lapling, and he is lovingly feeding this little hand puppet looking little creature in that show. And of course here, one of the poor cadets has to wear this gigantic, a costume with this giant head on it and get shot at.
Yeah, it's what's her name's brother, right?
Yes. So yeah, that was pretty good. Okay, quotes. I know you got some of these. I want to hear your favorite quotes.
Well, they shenaned once, they'll shenan again.
That's a great one. I can promise you that they shenaned once, they'll shenan again.
And they did. She used Holly Hunter uses shenan again later.
Yeah. That one is an all-timer. That's some excellent wordplay. Bravo to whoever on the writing staff wrote that one. I liked the other one was tea fetish. Out of all the fetishes available.
Yeah. And the one that answers the question, which I was talking about, the shooting of Sam, was Callum is his name, I guess. No, what's his name?
Darum.
Yeah. Darum. Yeah, he gets upset because he gets hit by the laser fire thrown at her.
Sam. Yeah.
What's her name?
Sam.
Blonde or yellow suit.
Jet
Reno, thank you. Yeah, Jet Reno says that she's porous, right? And she says, no, permeable, not porous. Get your P's straight. But
I like how that pays off like 2 scenes later when they're having the fight between the cadets from the War College and the cadets from the academy. And they shoot at her and she says, I can make myself permeable, bitches.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I also like when they get busted in that situation, and Laura comes out and says, "You will pay. You will pay with blood, sweat, and shame. Why are none of you crying?" Yeah, I saw her
at one point. Durham says, "This is war too," which is kind of an easy quote, but
yeah. I saw her on a show last week. Yeah, obviously she's British. She's got a British accent.
Yeah.
And
I saw her with Larry King. Is he still have a show?
I don't think so.
Yeah, maybe it was. I don't know if it was an AI or whatever, but
yeah, but
hard to tell these days.
Yeah, who knows? But yeah, she was very funny, and she was talking about some of the controversy about her. You know, people were freaking out, I guess, after the first 2 episodes. We haven't really talked about it, but we're freaking out because she's a quote-unquote female Jem'Hadar, and there are no female Jem'Hadar, and...
Really?
Well, in the original stories that, you know, the Jem'Hadar mostly fell inside of Deep Space Nine. I can't think if they were in anywhere else, but there are only males, and they were basically genetically engineered and created by the Dominion to be their soldiers.
To be warriors.
To be warriors. There are no females, and they are born addicted to that substance, the white. And the idea is that they are therefore, they have to do what they're told, otherwise they don't get the white, and that's extremely painful for them and eventually kills them. But I saw an interview with her. She was on a show with Robert Picardo, who plays the Doctor. And they were like, you know, here's the controversy. People are freaking out because, you know, you're a female Jem'Hadar and there are no female Jem'Hadar. And he stepped into the defense of basically saying, you know, this is absurd. You know, the Jem'Hadar were created for Deep Space Nine set in this time. Here we are 800 years in the future. Is it not possible that they found a way to, you know, both
replicate,
both
or
eliminate their need for the white and also give them the ability to procreate, like, and have, you know, a male female of the species. And also Laura says herself that she's part Klingon, and a lot of the characters here are hybrid of, you know, species that we've known from Star Trek. So again, like, it's extremely short-sighted to say, like,
television show.
They can't do that, or there are none. And like, of course there could be, and there are. It's like saying there are no Klingons that work on the Enterprise. Well, you know what? In the first episode of TNG, there suddenly was, and we were all like, "What?"
Yeah, and then
you know what we did? We got over it in a week.
In Jurassic Park, all the dinosaurs are female until they're not.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and especially in this circumstance, it's so stupid because, you know, like,
they're all male, I think, right? No, what is it?
No, they're all female. In this circumstance, it's particularly stupid because what they're saying is essentially there's no chance that this could be a female character. You know, even though this time could have passed, like, what difference does it make?
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
When we got TNG and we were like, there's a Klingon on the bridge, that was like 3-4 years after, not even, let's say 80, 45, 6. That was like a year and a half after Klingon had just stabbed Kirk's son to death. So we didn't like Klingons a lot at that point.
Yes, exactly.
And
it was
there
really
was a
surprising to see
Klingon
Worf on that show.
And we were like, what the hell? There's a Klingon on the bridge. But you know what we did? We watched the show, and they eventually showed us that Worf was a killer character. Michael Dorn was a terrific actor, and we loved him. Well, maybe how about we all give Laura a chance and see how this plays out? Maybe we'll learn something.
So from a special effects point of view, I think it's really cool. I haven't seen her tongue or the inside of her mouth, but her gums are gray.
Her gums are gray, and I thought that was fantastic. I don't know if that's a digital effect or if that's a practical effect.
It must be a digital effect because I can't imagine they could do that with makeup, right?
I mean, I don't know if
they just all you do is you zero in on that part of her face and you just throw the saturation away and it just goes gray. Right?
Yeah. No, it looks fantastic. Like I actually find her prosthetic to be quite good and the effects to be quite good. But I mean, there's a lot of different species. I mean, we didn't see another brick car or anything like really off the sides of the boat this episode. They think they spent more money on the first 2 episodes, but yeah,
cast-wise,
there's lots of. Well, I thought it was interesting that Robert Picardo wasn't in this episode at all, right? Like,
neither was Tilly.
Tilly hasn't shown up yet. Although, again, whether she's going to be a regular or a recurring guest star or who knows what, but yeah. Anyways, I thought this was really good. I did have a question for this one. I have several questions, but okay. So in the first episode and the second episode, we got to know a lot of these characters. Some, like Caleb, we got a first and last name, Caleb Mir. We know his name is Caleb Mir. We know the Chancellor's name is Nala Ake. We know some of the characters' last names. We do not know all the characters' last names. So here we got to learn a few of them. The name of the young cadet, the young female cadet who shows herself to be so proficient at this Calica game that they play that she becomes the captain of the team. Her name is Genesis. We knew that from the first 2 episodes. Her name is Genesis. Interesting new character. Her last name is Lithe. Her name is Genesis Lithe. I think Lithe is a little on the nose if you don't. Okay, so the character is young and attractive. The actress playing the character is young and attractive. Lithe, for those who don't know the depths of the English language, means, flexible and, can sometimes be used as a descriptive for a type of seductive body type. I just feel like that one was a little bit on the nose, a little not as creative as I could have liked. It really felt a little
phoned in.
not ideal, especially in a show that is quote unquote woke. I mean, come on, we could probably have done better than that. But anyway, yeah, that one really kind of stuck with me. I would also like to submit as a secondary big question. We all saw Sam at the tryouts. How did Sam make the team in the end? Is it because she is permeable? Because she was not good.
Right. Yeah.
Or was she simply, as Laura makes assertions at one point, is she simply the best of a bad lot? Because, woof.
Okay.
I don't know. When you watch that montage of her trying out, she is just like a deer in the headlights. She is absolutely getting scorched. And then they're like, well, here's the final 18 people that made the team. And you're like, really? Okay.
Well, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Anyways.
That's a big nit. Yeah.
That's a big nit. I don't know. I mean, I get it. Obviously, we want to have our main characters on the team because that makes for good TV. But maybe don't make her look quite so inept when you're going to make her a member of the team.
Yeah, but again, like it could be that, I mean, she is technically a programmable character, I suppose, too, right? Like she's set in her ways to be 17 or whatever, right? But
yeah,
she's only 4 months old, right?
They
so
don't really show her as somebody who necessarily assimilates knowledge. It's not like Data or something where you can just teach it a skill and whatever.
Yeah.
They can, obviously they've set them to be at this certain type of, personality level. But I don't know. It's kind of a weird one. But
exactly like the medical hologram, or what do they call him? The
EMH, yeah.
The EMH and Data, and they're both artificial life forms, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah. What did you think of the storyline? I mean, one of the storylines that sort of was kind of the bookmark of this episode, or the hook, beginning and the end, was Darum, right? Darum doesn't hear from his parents. He's trying to sort of check in. He's kind of got this storyline about him being, a little isolated, really, really super competitive. I mean, they establish in the first episode that he's kind of a dink, and obviously that continues here. But we see some character growth. How are you feeling about that character so far?
Well, I mean, I don't know if I still don't like him. There was an interest. You have to sort of dial into what he was saying about his parents and about. I think he made a mistake once and they left the performance in the middle of the performance because he made a mistake, kind of thing. And that's kind of the way he was raised.
Yeah,
played one wrong note, kind of thing. But then he also has that underhand. I was going to ask you about that underhanded comment he made to Genesis that made her stop because they were tied at that point in the competition, and he just sort of being a jerk said something to her that set her off, right? About her parents or something? Or
well, her father is a Starfleet admiral. And
okay.
So he makes a point of saying it must be hard to be an admiral's daughter, and she says, you have no idea. So he senses a weakness there, and that's why he uses it, but then obviously regrets it afterwards. I guess the other part we never really sort of dove back into is the storyline with Caleb and Terima, who obviously I think we all came out of episode 2 thinking like these two had some sparks flying. And then she chose the War Academy, and I think all of us, including Caleb, were like, but why did she choose the War Academy? Here we finally get the answer, which is she seems to be an extremely powerful Beta Z who can't necessarily control all of her feelings. She has that inhibitor on her neck.
We see it light up red a couple of times in this episode.
Yeah, and she says, like, that's what you do to me, but I have to learn how to do that for myself without this thing, right? And that's why she chose the War College, because she feels like the level of structure and discipline and sort of, learning style there will help her control that, which is a nice way to sort of resolve that. But we also get, she says that, and she sort of confesses that to Caleb at one point, but that she also does kiss him. So, clearly there is. Well, she
gets him into that emotional defensive position, and then she pushes the alarm.
Yeah. I mean, she's I think what she's basically saying is like, I did this for me. It wasn't about you. And, yes, I still think you're hot, but also I'm still on this team. So some good messages there. And I like the two of them. They do have a good, genuine chemistry as actors. And I do think that there's definitely some fun to be had between those two characters I look forward to. So, yeah. Hey, it's 2 episodes. 2 episodes is not much, but I like this series. I think it's fun. I think it's
3. It's 3.
3 episodes. You're right. I think it's
5. So
fun. 3. I think it's fun. I think it's fresh. I think the young cast are exactly what you'd kind of want in this kind of show. Hopefully it will bring in some new people who are like, hey, look at all the hot people. Star Trek wouldn't hurt to have some new fans mixed in there who are like, oh, there are very attractive young people in this show too. Holly Hunter is an A+ class actor, and it seems like there's a lot of really good things to like about it so far. So I'm pretty encouraged. I'm not surprised there are haters, because of course there's haters for everything. But I don't share their opinion at all. This has been fun so far. And is it a little bit of teen melodrama? Of course it is, but I don't mind that either. So I don't know. I'm in.
Me too.
Now, a word from our sponsor. Now, back to the show.
All right. Should we move on to Fallout?
Let's do that.
Okay. What did you think of Season 2, Episode 6, The Other Player?
Now, I'm trying to think. Well, there's a couple of things going on here. There's a flashing back and forth between, the ghoul and his wife and her agenda to, drop the bomb first before the other side does, which sets off the whole apocalypse-y kind of thing.
But here we learn that, he kind of thought the worst of her, right? And that's how they've been kind of building over the season, is that he's increasingly suspicious, and then he finds out what he thinks is the truth. Here he finally confronts her, and she says, the only reason that I'm following this is because they're going to do this one way or the other, right? And I need to figure out how to get you and our daughter and myself somewhere safe, because this is happening no matter what, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
is the other player the mutant guy that saves the ghoul? Is that the...
Good question. Is the other player the super mutant, or is the other player the because we still don't know who ordered Hank to drop the bombs, because Hank dropped the bomb on the shady sands, but we don't know who actually launched the bombs back in the 1950s, right? Or whatever it is, 2077.
Yeah. There's a couple of plot lines here. One is, and we didn't see McClane's brother today in this episode, but we did see the fight between the people from Vault 33, right? Where the guy's spending all the money and they're running out of water and rations and stuff.
On the inbred society.
Yeah, is that what it is? They're trying to find cousins that they can get married to.
No. I think the idea is that they are all descended of inbreeding.
Oh yeah. So and the fact that he's up against her, but and the other plot line is that
well, Lucy wakes up in the vault, right?
Well, Lucy finally catches her father, finds her father, and then almost immediately says, I'm arresting you and taking you back to the vault because of what you did. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I'm so proud of you for doing this, right?
But then he tricks her, right? He basically, on their way out, she sees that he has basically turned a large number of wastelanders into brain slaves, basically, with the chips. and including she sees the one person from the California. I can't remember the name.
Oh, the California Patrol people.
Yeah, and basically is like, oh no, I have to save that person, and she ends up basically having to intervene there. And then in real time we see the ghoul who last episode got punched out of a window by a drugged Lucy and was impaled on a 20-foot steel pole. He tries to get Dog Meat to go find help, which is not the greatest. But
Dog Meat does go find help.
He does. In fairness, not right away. And then we basically see him like trying to pull himself off this pole. He ends up in that weird chamber with the super mutant, who is basically like, hey, the super mutants and the ghouls should all work together. We should fight against the normal folk. And he basically says, no, thank you. And so the super mutant's like, fine. Was the super mutant played by Ron Perlman? Was I wrong? Did that look like Ron Perlman to you?
I only saw the face for a few seconds, and I didn't really get the. I guess it must have been the voice. I guess you have to listen to the voice.
Yeah,
but let's. We have a tool here called IMDb.
We do have that. All right. Well, I'll leave that to you. Anyway, so the storyline there is basically the super mutant ends up pulling him off the pole. Says, hey, join us. He says no. The super mutant knocks him back out and basically leaves him off to the side. And then we reconnect with Maximus and his ghoul friend Thaddeus, who are led by Dog Meat back to meet them. That's where we end our episode. So this all felt like a bit of just like last week did kind of too. There's stuff happening and it's not important stuff, but it does feel like glue. There wasn't a lot of pew-pew. It was a lot of talking. A lot of overlapping storylines. It is getting a little cluttered with all the different storylines.
And they also brought back the actor Michael Emerson too, like the guy with the glasses at the end. He was very much a part in the first. He was trying to. Well,
he's the one who has his head removed way back when in season 1, right?
But this is a flashback too. Yes, it was Ron Perlman.
There we go. Hey, yay, my brain. So obviously if you're casting Ron Perlman, this is a recurring part, I would assume, for at least a few episodes. So that's kind of interesting to see where that's going. I'm thinking that this all seems to be leading towards, if Dog Meat and Maximus and Thaddeus and the Ghoul are all together now and they're all not far from Vegas and that's where Lucy is, it's in theory, all this has got to come together at some point, right? So I wonder, we've got 2 more episodes this season. It seems like that's sort of what we're building towards. I do wonder how much they're going to resolve and how much they're going to keep carrying forward. We did leave last week's episode with, as you mentioned, Tim, the Lucy's brother was choked out, right? And left, not necessarily dead, but he was choked out on the floor there because they discovered that he was not, in fact, the person who he said he was. The other... what was the name? They had a funny name. I can't remember what it's called. It was like the
leader dude. Yeah.
The leader dude, the management. They're the management trainees basically. Right. So I mean, I think what we're kind of building towards, we need to find out who actually started the original war, which at some point has got to come together here because they've certainly laid out a few possible candidates. And then, Hank said in the last episode that he had, the ghouls' daughter and wife, but he just said that. We haven't seen that. He could have just been like messing with him. So
telling him that his daughter and his wife are still alive,
or that they're I think the idea is that they're like in cryogenic stasis or whatever. He says that they're there in that place, but we don't know that for sure because we haven't actually seen.
Well, we know that for sure because we've seen
seen that. He doesn't know that, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. And whether or not they're fine in there, because we only saw their names, we didn't see their their bodies or faces or anything like that, right? I don't know. I thought this was an okay episode. I honestly, didn't knock my socks off. It was really kind of just, it felt like
filler.
All about advancing the plot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like the whole pulling yourself off the pike, I knew that was going to fail at some point, right?
Yeah, that was pretty gruesome.
I'm like, what's he going to do when he gets to the top, right?
Exactly what he did, not get off. Yeah, that was pretty. Yeah, it was pretty grim.
Exactly. Well, he was kind of like turning too, like he was kind of losing control.
Well, right? And he was, as they established...
Oh, you don't like those kind of scenes, right?
Oh, no, that's pretty gross. And as he's doing that, he's like turning into a ghoul, right? Because he hasn't had his medication, so he's also kind of like, twitching.
Oh,
and
the medication keeps him on the straight and narrow.
It's that stuff's supposed to keep him from turning full ghoul, right? So yeah. All right, we got a new show to talk about. This is exciting. Another installment, the third Game of Thrones series, A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. We got our first episode on Sunday, season 1, episode 1, The Hedge Knight. Here we are introduced to Dunk, a young squire who is burying his lord and his knight, yes, his mentor, I guess. And is now trying to figure out what the heck he's going to do with his life now that he is no longer a squire, even though he seems to be an adult, a very tall adult. And he's trying to figure out what he's going to do with his life. He ends up basically deciding that he's going to go to this town of Ashford and going to take part in this tournament. He's going to use his knight's sword and shield and horses and try and enter this tournament. And realizes that's a lot easier said than done. And so he basically has to figure out like this whole machination of trying to get someone who will vouch for him. So he ends up, basically wandering around this town, meeting different people who obviously will play different roles in this first story. And he ends up going to a party that's hosted by
Baratheon, yeah.
Yeah, by Lionel Baratheon. And ends up basically encountering all these different characters who will sort of play different parts. The most important one, though, is this little kid who he runs into, who, says basically, I'd like to be your squire for the tournament. And he's like, I don't need a squire, piss off. And then later on, he ends up back at his horses, and this kid has come and basically caught fish for him, started a fire for him, and basically says, I would have set up your tent, but you don't have a tent. And he's like, I sleep in the trees. He's like, what happens when it rains? He goes, well, I don't know.
The tree will protect us. And he goes, well, trees leak. He goes, yeah,
they do.
It is what it is.
So clearly, I mean, at one point, Dunk says, Dunk says, I ought to return you home. And Egg basically says, you'd have to take me all the way back to King's Landing. So we know from Game of Thrones who Egg is. Not everybody remembers. So it's basically your mileage may vary depending on how much you're into this world and how much you care. There's a mystery as to who Egg is, and that he is a young and eloquent child. Definitely comes around. For those of you who don't want to know, we won't get into it. We won't spoil anything. But over the course of this series, we find out that Egg is not necessarily just some poor little orphan child. That Egg is actually a pretty important character in the grand scheme of things. But here we sort of get the first little, inklings of their relationship, and Dunk basically says, okay, you are pretty handy and I am lost. So maybe it's not a bad thing to have somebody who's on my side. And so he basically takes this young boy in and asks for a little help. The idea being that they're going to try and find a way to get into this tournament, where Duncan seems like he's going to be pretty out of his class, but,
yeah, and if you lose everything, like your horses and your gold. You have to buy your stuff back.
Yeah, it's
and he doesn't have anything to buy it back with, right?
Yeah, so he'd be basically like destitute at the end of this if it all goes wrong. But he does have.
So I have a feeling it's going to go pretty well for him next week.
I suspect you're right. But on the flip side,
because he's bigger than most people too.
Well,
right?
that's the part that they keep harping on the fact that he is a very strapping young man, and. The part with him and Lionel where Lina says, the gods have made you tall, now be tall, or else I'll burn you at the stake. Was pretty
don't
funny.
Slouch,
Don't slouch. I thought this was a good start. I mean, I thought that the crapping scene at the beginning was a little gratuitous, completely not necessary. And honestly, I was like, otherwise I feel like I could have shown this show to my wife, but now I'm like, she'd be like, that's dumb. I don't know. I guess they're trying to set a tone that this is not super serious, and they certainly accomplished that, but didn't really need that. I did think...
But that's an odd way to go, too, by the way. I just found that odd.
I do very much agree. I don't know. I thought it was... Peter Claffey is the name of the young man who plays Dunk, and... I thought he was quite, charming and quirky and fun. The little boy who plays Egg, his name is Dexter Saul Ansel. I thought he was really good. I always find kid actors can be a little hit and miss. Sometimes you get real, good ones. Sometimes you get okay, and sometimes you get awful. And I thought he was better than average for sure. I thought that the character of Sir Lionel was pretty good. Daniel Ings played that one as well, and lots of good sort of even the two the prostitutes that he encounters were very funny. And
ladies in waiting, aren't they?
Well, ladies in waiting implies that they're not paid for their services, I suppose. But anyways, I'm looking forward to seeing more of this series. I think they did a good job of sort of getting things started. It is unusual. I think, you and I think, and Jaime talked about this previously, that a lot of shows now will drop with 2 episodes, sometimes 3 episodes, or all at once, or, in chunks. To have a single episode of a series where we are kind of getting to know everybody anew. This is a time period we've never visited in Game of Thrones television. So, they establish right off the hop, this is between, pretty much smack in between House of the Dragon and Game of Thrones. So we know stuff about this if you're a book reader, but we don't know a lot about it this time period if we are, just watching the TV series, other than a few little tiny details. So it is kind of a new world for us to explore, although it's pretty familiar. There's not like much has changed. They have swords, they have horses, they have lances. Some of them are jerks, some of them are nice. That's pretty much Game of Thrones right there, folks.
Yeah.
But this is an interesting take too. So the show's a little shorter. It was 40 something minutes. It's only 6 episodes for the first season. So 6 Sundays and we're done. It is based on a novella, so it is a shorter story. There are a series of these novellas about Duncan Eggs stories. Very easy to find and or listen to and or read if you so choose. So you can go ahead and spoil yourself if you want to. But I think this is a nice. It's not as intense so far, obviously. Not as intense as House of the Dragon. I think it's going to be a nice counterpoint to that. And because it's not as long, hopefully they can knock these things out, like, if not every year, maybe every 18 months. It'd be nice. So far in this one, I didn't see much in the way of visual effects other than maybe the pooping. I didn't see much as far as there's no dragons and 1,000 ships at sea and all the stuff that they're doing in both Game of Thrones and in House of the Dragon. So you'd think that it might be a little easier to sort of keep it moving. I think this definitely has a place, as far as a side story that actually matters and is interesting and is well done. It's nice not to have the big stakes of who's going to sit on the Iron Throne. It's just, how am I going to eat
I noticed
tonight?
that the Baratheon's throne was made out of antlers, right?
It is, and of course that's we see
right.
the stag obviously through as a motif through both House of the Dragon and Game of Thrones. But it was definitely his mission on this particular episode was try and get into the fight, try not to starve to death the night before. That is really low stakes for Game of Thrones, but actually I think really made it much more entertaining.
Well, that's what's good about Game of Thrones is just sort of the people outside of, out on the missions, kind of how do they survive and how do they not get their, entrails taken out and whatever, right? So did you say this story is before House of the Dragon?
No, in between House of the Dragon and Game of Thrones.
Oh, okay.
So I think it's supposed to be...
It's
I think it's almost, I can't remember if it's 100 years after House of the Dragon and 80 years before Game of Thrones, or vice versa. I can't remember off the top of my head. But
because if the Egg is who you say Egg is he not a character in Game of Thrones or a former character in Game of Thrones kind of thing?
No, but he is referenced. So
okay, yeah, I mean he's an ancestor, right?
He is somebody whose family is still alive in the time of Game of Thrones that we know about.
Yes, yeah. But he may not be, right? Yeah.
But yeah, he's a very important part of the realm. He's just not at this point yet. So yeah. Yeah, I thought it was good. I really enjoyed it. I think I don't necessarily need more random pooping scenes, but other than that, go forward, onward.
Yeah. Well, yeah, watch list. We should jump to the watch list. And I'm just trying to think. I haven't put anything on the watch list this week.
Yeah, I had a busy week, so I didn't have a lot of time for extra stuff beyond our normal stuff.
Well, I do have a couple of things I can put on there that I kind of binged one. Let me just remember what it was called. Okay, I got it. And then there was one more. We have a guest watch list item this week. Speaking of which, let's jump over to the watch list and give us your best watch list, John, so far.
Yeah, so a series that is coming out next week, we talked about a little bit on the show previously, is Wonder Man, is the first Marvel project of the year. January 27th, Disney Plus, they are dropping 8 episodes, and they're dropping 8 episodes all at once, which is never a good sign. Because that is not how Disney Plus does things when they have something that they believe in. That's how they do things when they don't. So this is exactly how we got Echo. This is exactly how we got Ironheart, 2 series that were not as screamingly well received and also explicitly featured people of color, which is not the greatest thing as a trend. I love Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, who is the lead character in this. I think he is a very talented actor. I really enjoyed him in the Watchmen series that they did on HBO a few years back. And I think it's going to be interesting to see what they do with that character. It seems like they've gone in a really weird direction. Wonder Man is a very long-established Marvel character. It's been around since the early 1960s, way back in the early issues of Avengers, and then sort of rose to more prominence later on in the 70s, and from then on as a member of the Avengers, and has been in a lot of different things. There was some speculation at one point that Nathan Fillion was going to play an iteration of Wonder Man in a previous Marvel product, and that never materialized. Some people really like this character. I actually have really enjoyed some of the stories, including this character, over the years. I don't know that this is the version of the character that I'm familiar with, but also I really like Yahya Abdul-Mateen, so I'm kind of just gonna try and give it a shot. But as I say, I'm concerned by the way that the Disney Plus is approaching it. The fact that they're kind of burying it. It's coming out at the end of January, which is not a great time of year. The fact that it's coming out all at once. I don't take those as positive vibes, but I'm gonna watch it and I'm gonna see what it's like.
Cool. All right. So because we're between shows waiting for things to happen, wasn't much happening on Monday, and I had a few distractions this week, but I sat down and started watching Hijack, which is the Idris Elba series from last year, and I watched it because I knew that the new season had started, season 2 had started. So season 1 is it takes place on a plane. It's really interesting because the portrayal of the plane and the process of going through security and arriving late at the gate and the how the actual I've flown enough times and you've flown enough times that all the plane sort of processes were super familiar, right? But then it's all like a completely mostly British cast. I don't think there was many Americans in there at all, but it was because it's about a plane from Dubai flying back to London. And of course, it's kind of like, why is the plane being hijacked? What is the purpose of it? What's the underlying plot? Idris Elba plays a negotiator who, sitting in first class, can't leave well enough alone and starts to, negotiate with the terrorists and everybody else on the plane anyway. So, needless to say, he survives because he's in season 2. But it is a kind of an edge of the seat kind of thing. There's a lot of interesting little plot points and stuff like that about, the hijacking and the sort of story behind what the purpose of the hijacking is, how the government plays into it, because a couple of senior government officials get involved, and the prime minister's involved, obviously, right? Not as a character, like just on the phone kind of thing, because these ministers are taking care of it for her, right? And the sort of the one quirky character is this one woman who is dropping her kid off at the daycare and calling her, or dropping her kid off at the school and telling her boss, I'll be there in 5 minutes. And he's like, you said that last time, and and you were 15 minutes late and whatever. What time is it you think you're going to show up today? And kind of thing. And then she turns out she pushes tin. She's a flight. What do you call the ground person that talks to the planes? Right?
Air traffic controller. Yeah,
air traffic controller. Yeah. So she shows up for work, and she literally walks in, and she's 15 minutes late, and just turns out that this particular plane is on her docket. And her coworkers say, I dealt with this plane over here, you're good over here, and Michael dealt with that plane over there, and you've just got this one to sort of look at. And she sits down and she just kind of gets like the gist of what's happening with this plane, and she goes, because I mean the hijacking starts, and then it starts in Dubai, and they call the flight person, the name you just said to me a minute ago.
Air traffic controller,
the air traffic controller in Dubai. The pilot says there's something going on, and then a few minutes later he comes back and says it was a false alarm, never mind. And that's kind of the message that gets sent forward. But when she walks in and looks at the pieces, and she goes, we should look into this because this doesn't seem right. Anyway, she is, I looked at her and I think I've seen this actress 1,000 times before, and I can't remember where. She's one of the female leads on Torchwood, which is Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and it's kind of like an actress you've seen in a ton of British things, but you just can't, she's like that guy, as we always say, right? But she plays a pivotal role in she's sort of like in this particular show, remember the Mackenzie, what's her name?
Davis, yeah.
Davis character from Martian?
Mm-hmm.
Very much sort of like that. She kind of sort of sees the pattern isn't right, and, she becomes sort of the lead sort of communicator with this plane, right? So I started watching season 2, and I've seen 2 episodes now, and this one takes place in Berlin. So there's a lot of German subtitles, and one of my favorite things from it is at one point, so this subway train gets hijacked, and of course Idris Elba's involved again. But the part where they have the head of the lieutenant or whatever German police guy has to go and get the captain, who's like the lady who's the higher up rank, and he has to go and find her. And he goes into the school where you hear these kids playing Beethoven, badly, and he kind of like he walks into the room, and he's standing on the stage looking out into the audience to try and find her, and he kind of signals to her, need you right away, kind of thing. And they're sitting in the car on the way back, on the way to where the command center is, where they're going to talk about this hijacking is, right? And he goes, it was really important. It was, it's like this could be like, there could be a lot of lives lost, and it could be a pretty dangerous situation. She says, more important than murdering Beethoven, or more important than my kids' orchestra murdering Beethoven, but in German, of course, right? Which is so funny, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, Hijack it's an interesting. I wasn't sure about it, but what? It's like the Apple TV stuff has been pretty damn good. Like right from the get go, right? So anyway, I don't know what I hit some keyboard on my Mac here, and my notes went away, but they're back. And so we have a guest. I was chatting with Keen today, and he asked me, in the Slack, he asked me if I'd seen Rashomon, which I believe he heard you say you picked up recently. I
did. I bought.
He's a few episodes behind us.
Yeah, I did. I bought that. It was on sale over the holidays, so I bought it. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet. It's on my to-do list in the short term, but yeah.
Well, he says it's a classic Japanese film, and he said you should watch it. So that's his recommendation to me. So I'm going to share that with you guys as a Keen watch list item.
Going to do that. Yeah, I actually have a few. I bought a number of classic Japanese films recently that I'm looking forward to getting into. I haven't actually gotten down the rabbit hole, but I'm looking forward to watching a few of them.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so maybe I'll have to watch it too. Okay, well, I guess that's it for another week. So, Jonathan, people get in touch with you. Where would they find you?
Well, I'd start by looking on our Slack channel. So, go find me there. And if you can't find me there, Instagram, JPK News, all that stuff.
Yeah, we had a new person join our Slack channel today. I don't know if he's said hello yet, but
cool.
Yeah, so we got one listener joined us, and my name is Tim Mitra, TIMMITRA. You can find me on You can find me on Blue Sky, on Mastodon, on Reddit, on Substack. All the places, Threads. Yeah, so pretty much look for me there. I mean, if you Google my name, it just comes up in 100 different places, but. So until next time, and of course, Tommy Lopez Jr. is Dev with the Hair on Instagram. right?
Darn right.
He's not transporting around the universe. And so until next time, we'll see you in the future. Bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Spockcast podcast. If you want to find out more about the podcast or see the episode show notes, visit the Spockcast website at spockcast.com. If you have feedback or questions, you can get in touch with us on the website. If you like the show, please consider recommending us to a friend, writing a review on iTunes, or pledging any amount at patreon.com/Spockcast. You can find details on how to help us on our website, spockcast.com/sponsor us. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the future.
Awards coming. Just you wait, folks.
Oh, we forgot to mention that.
The Spockies are coming. The Spockies are coming soon. Stay tuned.
I was talking to somebody about that in a group chat I was on the other day about Spockies, and he, of course, he says, "Send me your Spocky thing," because he was telling me he's a friend of mine from Berlin. He's Chilean, but he lives in Berlin, and he's just started watching Shorzy based on my
Shorzy's so funny.
My recommendation. I've only seen a few episodes of it myself, but if he's into Canadian shows, right? So
I just watched one last week. I am still not up to date. I'm one season behind, but I just watched an episode from season, I want to say 4, where it's the night that they win this big tournament and they're out celebrating, and the night honestly is it just both A, felt familiar, which is not a good sign, but B, was hilarious, where they basically are going from place to place, and every place they're going on this like pub crawl to celebrate, first it's alcohol, and then the alcohol has effects, and then they're like, well, the alcohol is having this effect, we need something different, so then they get pot, and then they go from the pot, and then they go to the next thing, and they go to the next thing, and the whole thing, and it is so funny. It is so over the top. It's so Canadian. It's so hockey culture. It's so goofy, and I was in stitches. I was falling off my couch. I was laughing so hard. I'm surprised I didn't wake somebody up laughing, because it was so funny. That show, it's so dumb, but it's so well written. And performed. Like the dialogue is so perfectly written, and the performances where they use this very, fast paced sort of staccato. It should not work at all, and it's so brilliant. I love that show. Also highly recommend maybe partaking of some of the substance I just mentioned before you go watch it, because that makes it even funnier. That being said, yes, Spockies are coming. We're gonna watch some Spock. We're gonna talk about some Spockies sometime soon when the gang gets back together. We'll have some Spockies. I think last year, we definitely set a record last year for participation. I think we got a lot more. It was definitely ramped up every year, and last year definitely felt like we had like a pretty decent cross section. I didn't feel like some years it was like, oh, this only got this many votes. Last year felt like we had a bunch of votes. So I'm hoping that we can spread this far and wide. We'll definitely invite everyone who listens to participate and vote. So.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember too. Last year we there were so many people, so many items on each category. I think we ended up choosing 5, and then each one of us got an extra vote to save one of them.
Yeah, I think we whittled the list down, because even the list that I've made already for us to start whittling away at, it's bloated in a few categories. Although it's funny, it's definitely a trend. The just a little spoiler for what's coming. The year in television was far stronger than the year in movies again. So. Although,
well, I mean, that's the gist too. Like, is trying to get people to go to the theater and to the cinema is challenging, right?
Even then, like, a lot of the stuff that's on our nominee list is available for streaming. It's just a matter of what streaming services you have and how interested you are in getting into it. But yeah,
I'm just seeing here, there's a thing coming to Vision Pro Apple Immersive called Top Dogs, which I assume is like those dogs that run around and jump on things.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Good dogs?
I don't know. I haven't seen it yet. I just saw a note here on...
Did you watch 28 Years Later?
I did.
Are you going to see 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple?
Bone King? I don't know. It was a good movie. I mean, I watched it I started watching it again on the home video because I wanted to see. It was on sale actually. Like,
yeah, I think it's on like $5 this week or something.
Is it 5 or 9 or whatever?
I don't know. A couple of them are on sale on Apple this week. I didn't really see.
Yeah, the 28 days later, 28 weeks later. You're talking about 28 years later.
28 years.
It was really good. I enjoyed it. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but and I did go and see it in the theater.
Yeah.
Right?
I've heard some people have said the Bone Temple is like the best of the bunch already, and I was like, that seems random, but apparently, really good performance by what's his name? Voldemort.
That guy, yeah.
Voldemort.
Yeah.
So
Fiennes.
Yeah, Ralph Fiennes. Yeah. 28 days later and 28 weeks later are both $5 this week on iTunes. There you go. That's the first two.
28 days.
28 days is the first one. That's on sale. Yeah. And 28 weeks,
so that,
which is the second one.
The actor, trying to remind me of the actor, Danny Boyle?
Danny Boyle's the director, right?
Yeah, Danny Boyle directed 28 years later. And the difference was 28 weeks later wasn't Danny Boyle.
Right. So it's not really considered.
So he doesn't consider it a part 2, but he does consider that the 28 years later is a continuation of 28 days later. It's really good. I mean, there's a young lad who's come of age and is allowed to go into the infected island and sort of learn to forage right by his dad. And he does meet the bone collector at one point, which is why this Bone King or whatever he's called Bone What do they call the second one?
The Bone Temple, Doctor? I think.
Bone Temple. Yeah, he's building this Bone Temple. He meets him. That's part of the plot, but there's a couple of characters that are kind of left like in there's an out scene at the very end where one of the characters from the very beginning of the movie shows up, and that's supposed to carry on into, because it ends on a kind of a cliffhanger.
Okay,
right. So it's meant to dovetail into the Bone Temple.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, because Ray Fiennes is in 28 years later as well. So. Yeah, and Jodie Comer is in it, and
I remember the cast of the first one was
Aaron
really
Taylor
good too. It was like
Paul, I think his name was.
What's that? Oh, Aaron
Taylor Johnson.
Oh, Aaron Taylor Johnson. Yeah.
Yeah, he plays the dad.
Yeah, I mean the first one had what? It was like Cillian Murphy and Naomi Harris and Brendan.
The very first
Brendan Gleeson, and like it was a really good cast too, right?
Yeah, the very first one is great, and I did watch the second one. I believe I watched the second one too. The first one's really good, but it kind of, it's a bit Rocky Horror Picture Show too, like in terms of how it's of that time, right? So it's very Danny Boyle kind of Train Spotting-ish, kind of style. So yeah, good movie, good franchise. Yeah,
I keep waiting for like a good movie to come to our local movie theater. No disrespect to Atlantic Cinemas, but it's been very
dry.
No, very much the like largest audience possible movies you'd expect, right? Like it's a
like
lot.
Badlands. It was Badlands there.
And... let me just have a quick look. I know
Song Sung Blue.
Honestly, that would be a step up. Yeah, Atlantic Cinemas. Every week for the last number of weeks, I have been looking for like, I should go to the theater and see something. Okay, so this week, starting tomorrow, we get Song Sung Blue, Mercy, Charlie the Bear or whatever this is called, Charlie the Hero, something with a dog in it, Charlie the Wonder Dog, and the Bone Temple just opened today, which is good. But yeah, it's been like several weeks where I just keep going through every time, and I'm like, I'm looking forward to seeing something new. I'd love to have an excuse to go to the movies. Like Avatar played for like a month, and I was like, great. So there's a whole bunch of shows I'm never going to go to. Anaconda was there for a couple weeks. The Housemaid, something about, I think it's a David and Goliath animated movie. And again, not for me. Gabby's Dollhouse, The Smurfs. Like, it's been a lot of stuff that I have zero interest in. since
The Heavy Metal's on sale. You know, the animated.
Bought that ages ago. I love that movie.
Yeah, I should probably grab a copy. I don't have a copy.
It's
And it's not on any service. Not available on any service I'm aware of. How much money do I have in my account?
Yeah, I mean, that's such a. It's not only is it a classic, but it's also a Canadian classic because like most of the cast is Canadian too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the last movie I wanted to see that was at that theater was at the beginning of December, and it was Zootopia 2, and I thought, I'm just going to wait. I'll watch that with Rue.
Right. Somebody who'll really appreciate it.
We never got Running Man. Never came to town.
Really?
Nope, never got Running Man.
It's on streaming.
It is now, and that's where I will watch it eventually.
Oh, that should be on our watch list then, Running Man.
Running Man's on... It came to Paramount last week, so I'm in for that.
Yeah, it definitely should be on our watch list. I saw that. I went to the theater and saw that. Really good. It's way better than the Schwarzenegger one.
Oh, wow. I mean, the Schwarzenegger one has its charms, but it's very much a product of its era, right? It's Arnold running around in spandex punching things, so and saying a lot of.
Well, I mean, the beginning part of the movie is very much like Arnold's, a war hero kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
This is not the case with this current character.
Well, this seems like it's more closer to the Stephen King original.
Yeah. That was the gist of the people who did it.
I mean, they had me at Edgar Wright. I'm in the bag with you. Anything Edgar wants to do, let's see what goes. But I was disappointed. They played it in Fredericton, and I was like, maybe I'll get to Fredericton, and it was over the holidays, and I just did not have a chance. I was like, oh well, whatever. I have accepted that it is part of my fate of being down here is that I'm going to miss out. I said that to my wife not long ago that the chances of seeing like there was nowhere that I could have seen like the Wes Anderson movie that came out last fall. Like some of that stuff is just not happening. So sometimes you just gotta understand limitations of the decisions you've made. And I made a decision to move here, and that's going to have some consequences. So
yeah.
I can.
Well, I was in that same boat at one point too, and I've been paying for it ever since.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah. Have a week, everyone.
Yeah. Talk to you folks later. Bye.
Bye.
If you're a podcast host, listen up, this one's for you. My name is Allie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle, and I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.